Oh wow, this is looking better than I thought it was going to be. Um, so this next map is Playtest Me. Playtest Me was something I created many years later after sort of a lot of my feud with making maps. I felt like my steam was running out to make my own map. It was part of what inspired my desire to work collaboratively with Simi is that I didn't want to work on my own map anymore. I wanted to contribute to a map that was going to become something interesting. And I found that I could do that too with um, basically just making my own map, but making very few expectations for myself and really trying to focus on the process and how interesting the process could be as I shaped it with playtesting. Because by this point, I'd had maybe like, I don't know, 3 playtest sessions. How I could shape the map through playtesting, because at this point, I'd only had like 3 playtesting sessions on all of my maps combined, and I wanted to improve that. So with this, I decided to take a chance and create something that I deliberately just wanted to be changed by feedback and not trying to expect something specific out of it. And so what that turned into was this map. I'm back to my old antics. I've got diagonal angles, I've got overlooking sniper spots, I've got like weird visibility situations that aren't very safe. It makes you feel like this map is taking a lot of risks with stuff like this and stuff like this and this, lots of elements being really close together and offering like really shady angles if you're not careful. Like, these shutters are only there to prevent the really shady angle, but even this is kind of a bit antsy. Like you're walking out and you're trying to take out all these angles, and then suddenly somebody gets you because they're standing right there on the corner. You just can't defend against that. Uh, but I wanted to start something, and I wanted to start somewhere, so this is where I started. We've got an underpass that takes you to the bomb site. The underpass connects over to this bridge, but this sniper spot location is exclusively for the T side, unless the CTs decide to run all the way around. CTs could go in through here and try to meet Ts as they came onto this bridge, maybe like hanging back here or trying to fight like this, and maybe this is where the sniper comes in and catches them by surprise. CTs could hang back here and wait for Ts to come out of this underpass, or even just sit back here and hope that the Ts come out through here primarily. I thought there could be an interesting exchange of fire, but also just I thought there could be interesting firefights and interesting use of utilities with this map. So, for example, if you block off this location, but then you also block off this location, I mean, now you've got total safety except for the sniper location. But the way that I've smoked it, Ts could still come around here silently. So, I mean, if you were down in here and you wanted to try to find a way to get out safely, there's actually not a whole lot of options. I think I even dipped the ground lower here a little bit so that you can walk to underneath what looks like something that's going to be clipping your head off. And that becomes a problem, stuff getting in the way. That's not what I want. There we go. Like that. And then you've almost. But this is the plant zone is around this pillar. In here is where the Ts are coming from, and over here is how you get to the underpass. And if you switch to the T side, you will find that the Ts start here. The Ts have the option of running. Why don't I just change teams genuinely? Okay, so the T's have two options at the start. They can go out here to the sniper nest. I didn't get the timings right, so of course all the T's would file out at the sniper nest, and it was wonderfully chaotic. Or this main area where they head down this long corridor, and then they have the choice of entering through the bridge to fight CTs here, or they have the choice of going to the underpass and fighting CTs from here. I thought this was interesting enough in its own rights. You know, there's not a lot of time to get on the site for CTs and Ts before there's a fight. Unfortunately, I moved the T's pretty far back in an attempt to try to balance the fact that there's not a lot of time between the spawn point and the site being on site to fight. And I think I even closed up, yeah, the skybox is all closed up, so there's no good way to try and, like, you're just kind of gonna mess things up for yourself, pretty much. Yeah, so with this, this is all I had of the first version, but I playtested this with a few friends, and they actually gave me a lot of really helpful things in terms of feedback. So I'd make little changes, and I'd get a bit more playtesting and make more changes, even just to different ways to make the gameplay feel more fair and interesting. Eventually would change these spawn locations. And this is also the first instance of me trying to look at if I could try making like a vertical slice. I was inspired by old Inferno style. I think the new Inferno had just come out, that's where this prop is from. But I wanted something that sort of took place in that, you know, middle, how do I even describe it? Like a European kind of town with some weird geometry happening and some roofs that looked worse for wear and some big sort of memorial stones in like a grave site, but also like planters. And yeah, I found some sort of semblance of stylistic consistency, but it wasn't really helping me work on the gameplay. But at least I found a location where I can just get ideas out and not feel like I have to shoehorn those ideas into the geometry of the map I'm currently working on. I definitely had this tendency to prefer just getting like whenever I thought like, hey, that would be neat if this was like a big tall gravestone, whether it served the gameplay or not, I would just do it because I wanted to see it in action. But here I can do that and not risk that. So, you know, maybe I just needed more projects to work on where I was only doing like map art or something, I don't know, placing existing assets. I didn't really want to get into making custom art assets, but funnily enough, that would soon change. For the future versions of this map, I'd realized that I want to take it on myself to learn more things as I make this map. Not just getting more feedback, but also making custom models, making custom textures, trying to make stuff that serve the gameplay first and serve the art assets last, and try to, you know, I had tons of experience adapting art assets to gameplay spaces, and I felt there were some locations that I was actually pretty happy with. So with that in mind, I wanted to just focus on the stuff I didn't have a lot of practice with, and stuff that I could identify was absolutely holding me back. This notion of perfectionism and this notion of like trying to make everything look decent and contextualized, but really the core of it should have just been to focus on gameplay. I don't think you can stand on here. Something I would find is that I only focused on one bomb site because I really just wanted to focus on gameplay. And, I got what I asked for. But I didn't plan for a second bomb site in the slightest. I didn't want that to get in the way of me focusing on just getting one bomb site's gameplay good. And I definitely kind of shot myself in the foot for that, as we'll see later. But I think my intentions were in the right place when I started to work on this. It came from a place of trying to learn and less so trying to impress or trying to do something that I thought was really cool and interesting, rather that I just wanted to learn how I could do more in the same realm of stuff I'd already been doing for like hundreds of hours. Because I'd spent a lot of time getting frustrated in the editor and making these maps, and this felt like the first time that I just let myself breeze through the process fast enough to a point where I just couldn't do that. There was no time to do that. I was focusing on playtesting and finding out what I could change and fix and adapt to make the gameplay better. I was getting advice and screenshots and people actually running around on the map and shooting me and shooting each other. I didn't organize a full playtest of a full server or anything because that takes a lot of resources, and what I was making didn't yet fulfill the requirements for what Top Hat Waffle asked for before every playtest. But yeah, that's about it for this early version of playtestme. Can move on to the next version.